Page 2, let's get to it. Unit 6 test review. Finals just around the corner. So more of these triangle similarity things. Now, on something like this, there are pieces of hidden information that I'm not going to explicitly tell you. We need to be able to identify these things. And what I mean by that is if we look at this picture, I have some vertical angles here. All right. So I will never tell you that. That's something you need to know. Vertical angles are congruent. So we already have an angle. So there's two theorems that involve angles. We have angle-angle similarity, and we have side-angle-side similarity. Now, I don't know that the lines are parallel, so I can't get another angle. So it looks like we're going to have to try side-angle-side. So let's just see. And again, I mentioned this in the last page in the last video. Compare the correct sides to one another. So I see a 9 and a 15. I see a 3 and a 5. Well, which one should we compare? Should I compare 9 and 3 or should I compare 9 and 5? And again, to kind of get around that or to determine that, look at the sides. Look at, hey, what is the biggest side? What is the bigger side of one of these triangles? Like 15. 15 is the longest side on that left triangle. Well, 5 is the longest side on the right triangle. So those are the ones that I want to compare, right? It's all about being consistent when we have these similarity ratios. So I'm going to say 15 over 5. And that's a fraction we can reduce, right? That is 3 over 1. Just divide them both by 5. And then do the same thing with the other guy. So 9 is the shorter side on that triangle. 3 is the shorter side on the right triangle. So we have 9 over 3. Well, hey, guess what? That is another fraction that reduces down to 3 over 1. And that tells us the scale factor, right? The scale factor in this one is 3. Or you could say, if we went the other direction, if you did 5 over 15 and 3 over 9, you say 1/3. Again, I talked about this in the previous video. We're not specifying what direction we're going. So either one of those would be an acceptable answer. These are similar using side angle side, as mentioned before. The sides are proportional. The angle between those two sides are congruent. Therefore, this one's SAS. So we need a similarity statement. So how about we go ABT? ABT. All right, so the side length of 9 matches up with the side length of 3. So I'm going from the outside corner into the vertical angle. So that means I have to go from the outside corner being C to that vertical angle, and then back down to D. All right, and that one's done. All right, the next one. This is similar by angle, angle. All right, so we can see right off the bat. And then let's compare the sides. So I got a 4.2 and then divided by 2.1. What does that equal? That's 2. So there's my scale factor of 2. Again, if you went the other direction, it would be 1/2. So these are similar, and there's no letters on this one. All right. Here, I'll put some letters on here. Let's call this A, B, C, D, E. So how about I go triangle A, B, C is going to be similar to triangle E, D, C. All right, and that one's done. All right, more similarity stuff just with four-sided shapes this time. So this shape ABCD is proportional to EFGH. So here's what I'm doing. I'm gonna stack the letters. A, B, C, D goes with E, F, G, and H, right? And that tells us which ones should match up together. So if I look at GH, all right, that's going to match up with C, D. If I look at F, G, that is going to match up with B, C. All right, so those are just kind of easy ways. And then DC is the third side, so they give us that one. So we have everything we need here. So I'm just going to fill it in. I got GH. I'm going to put 40 right here. FG is 36. DC, where's DC? This is 25. And they want us to find CB. All right, so again, make your proportions. What is your proportion? Doesn't really matter the order. You could say 25 over 40. equals x over 36, right? That would be correct. We kind of just do one of these. Or we could say this, or go the other direction. We could say 25 over x equals 40 over 36. All right. Both of those would be correct because let's take a look. When we cross multiply, we get 40x equals a big number. I don't know what 25 times 36 is, but I can figure it out. That's just 900. All right. Therefore, x is going to be equal to, let's divide that 40 away. This is 22.5. Right? If I look at the other one, I get the same thing. I still get 40x equals 900, which is the same thing. All right. The last part they're saying is what is the scale factor? Just compare the sides, right? So 25 over 40. If I take that and I simplify that fraction down, I can divide it both by 5, so I'm going to say 5/8. All right, that is my scale factor. If I went the other direction, it would be 8/5. If I turn that into a decimal, this is 0.625. But I know you guys, and I know you like to be lazy with your rounding, and a lot of you would call that 0.6. If you round that to 0.6, I'm going to take off for that. That's just lazy. So leave it like this. That is a better answer. All right. And that one's done. All right, next one. Find the value of this missing variable. So again, they're telling us the similarity ratio, so match up all of the corresponding sides. AD matches up with EH. DC matches up with HG. Y minus 3 matches up with 5. And then those two sides are blank, but they do match up. We don't need them, but they do match up. All right. One thing to notice on this one, we haven't had one yet like this, we are given some angles. When we have similar shapes, angles are congruent. All right, so you're going to take that 60-degree angle and you will set it equal to 3z plus 10. So 60 equals 3z plus 10. All right, and then you solve that one. Corresponding angles are congruent. So we got 3z. So z equals 50/3. That's going to be an ugly decimal, so let's just go ahead and leave it just like that. All right, now the next one, proportions. So what I'm going to do on both of these proportions is notice how I have an 8 and a 10, right? Those are just numbers. So I'm going to use that 8/10. I'm going to say 8/10, or 8 divided by 10 is solve for x first, solve for y first, doesn't matter. I'm going to go for x. So I'm going to say x plus 2 divided by 15, right? And again, I'm keeping that same order. The left shape is going on the top of the fraction, the right shape is going on the bottom of the fraction. We just have to be consistent here. That's going to give us 120 equals 10, x plus 2. Let's not forget to distribute on this one. So 120 equals 10x plus 20. I'm going to subtract the 20. We're going to have 100 equals 10x. Therefore, x equals 10. All right. So that's how we would solve for x. I'm going to do the same thing with the y values now. So we have 8 over 10. I'm going to reuse that 8/10 because it's proportional to both of those sides. So I got y minus 3 all over 5 this time. So we have 40 equals, I'm going to skip a step here. I'm going to say 10y minus 30. I'm going to distribute that 10 in, add it over, 70 equals 10y. Therefore, y equals 7. All right, and that one's done. So now on the next one, same kind of idea. So this proportion thing is probably what we're going to be doing for the rest of this review. Right? So same thing here. Let's match up all the sides. I see an x. That matches up with this 16. I see the y. that matches up with the 24. I'm going to talk about the z later. Notice how the lines are parallel. All right, this, what I'm going to do, only works when we have parallel lines. I forgot to mention that these two match up as well. All right, so again, match up your corresponding pieces. Maybe go 32 over 28. What is that going to be equal to? Well, that's going to match up with your 16 and the x. So stay consistent. I want the left side is going on top, the right side is going on bottom. So I need to do the same thing here. Left side goes on top, right side goes on bottom, cross multiply them out. All right, so you got 32x 28 times 16. It's 448. All right, divide away 32. What does that give us? 14. All right, so x is 14. Now just do it again for the y's. So I'm reusing the top one. I'm reusing that 32 over 28. Right? I could use the x that I found. All right, I could say 16 over 14. However, in case I make a mistake, I would be using that mistake to figure out the value of y, and that would kind of compound my mistakes. So I think it's going to be a safe bet to use the numbers that are already provided. But if you do use the 14, it will work. And maybe I'll do it twice just to kind of prove that point. So 32 over 28 equals, we got 24 with y. All right, let's see here, cross multiplying this one. 32y equals 24 times 28. That's 672. Therefore, y equals, what does y equal? 32. 21. All right. And again, let's just say we wanted to check. All right, this would be an optional step. 28 over 32. All right. If we divide those, 28 divided by 32, I can divide both of those by a 4. This gives me a 7/8. All right. If I do 16 divided by, what did I get, 14? Wait a minute. We're going backwards. All right, so on this one, I went 28 on top, 32 on bottom, whereas on the other ones, all right, so here, let me redo that just so I'm consistent with everything else. I'm going to go 32 on top, 28 on bottom, and that is 8/7. All right, if I do the other one, I'm going to have 16 over 14, and I reduce that, I get 8/7. And then if I do it with the y values, I get 24 over 21, which I can divide both of those. What can I divide both of those by? A 3. I get 8/7, which again, I should get the same number, right? So that's just kind of another way to confirm it. All right. So now for z, I'm going to erase, actually, no, I'm not. I'm just going to copy this. How do I do this? There we go. All right. I'm going to copy this because z is going to be a little bit more involved here. Notice how z is the entire part of that, base triangle. So we have this blue triangle right here. All right. And the 8. The 8 is this piece right here. And that kind of corresponds with just this top triangle here. So if I look at just that green triangle, I have an 8 and a 32. Right? But if I look at the overall big triangle, I have a z. That's an ugly z, but that's okay. And then I have the entire side. What does this add up to? 32 plus 16 plus, what is it, 24 plus 24. It gives me a 72. All right, so this is 72. All right, so there's my sides. That's what I'm going to compare everything to here. So I got 32. 32 over 8 equals 72 over Z. All right. And cross multiply once more. 32Z. My Z's and 2's look alike. That's why I always cross my Z's when I do math. It's by 76. So we get Z. Divide that by 32 and we get 18. All right. So, yeah, I think that's right. Yeah, that should do it. Now that's not going to be proportional to the other ones just because it's kind of a different side. And I think that is going to be okay there. Let's make sure I did everything correctly here. 72 and 8. 32. Yeah, so that should be all right. All right, on to the next one. And I think this is the last one on page. I think we're on page 2. This is the last one. All right. So same kind of thing. Pair them all together. All right. So the 3/4, that's the only pair that has like both numbers. So I'm going to say 3/4 is going to be equal to, I'm just going to go top down, y over 2y minus 5. All right, so I'm going left side on top, right side on bottom. We're going to go ahead and cross multiply this. I'm going to skip some steps here. So I got 4y equals 6y minus 15. I'm going to move some stuff around. 15 equals to y. And then we got y equals 7.5. All right. On to the next one. I got 3/4 is going to be equal to, let's see here, purple, that's what I need, x over x plus 3. All right. So distributing all out, I got 4x again. This time I got 9x, how about 3x plus 9? All right. Subtract 3x over, I got x equals 9. So if I plug them all in, this side we have 9 and 12. Just plugging in x, and then 7.5, and then 2 times 7.5, that's 14, 15. This is going to be a 10. All right, so everything should, excuse me, be in proportions here. So 7, keep it color coded. So if I reduce down, 7.5 over 10, that does simplify to 3/4. 9/12 also equals 3/4. And the last one, 3/4. Well, guess what? That also simplifies down to 3/4. They all match. That's what we want. That one's done. This page is done. We are halfway done. And the semester's almost done. So I'll see you guys in the next video.